Welcome to the SPACE workshop from the Newham Early Years Speech and Language Therapy team. SPACE stands for Supporting Play and Communication Every Day. This workshop is for parents and carers of children with speech and language and communication difficulties. This is a breakdown of your journey through our SLT service. Today you are attending the SPACE workshop. Following this, you will have 3 one-to-one sessions with a speech and language therapist. The speech and language therapist may then make some onward referrals, if appropriate, for further support and assessment. As your child is now going into reception, their early years case will be closed, and you're advised to contact the school SENCO when the child starts reception if you need further support. The aims of this workshop are for parents and carers to understand the journey with us and the early years speech and language therapy service, to understand how communication develops, identify your own child's communication strengths and needs, and understand your own role in the process of supporting your child's communication development. Today we will cover what is speech and language therapy, what is communication, the importance of play, typical language development, introducing special time, tips and strategies to use now to help your child, and the next steps. What is speech and language therapy? Speech and language therapy helps your child with all aspects of communication. It starts with the connection between you and your child. It includes sharing play and activities, learning to pay attention, finding ways to get a message across, understanding and knowing what to expect, making friends. The therapist will show you how to help your child and give you activities to do every day. We are here to help you become facilitators. Let's start with an activity. If we think of communication development in terms of a pyramid, we need strong foundations before building our skills. You can see 5 different skills we use to communicate. Which of these skills do you think a child needs to develop first in order to have a strong foundation for communicating? Pause the video and take a few minutes to think about where on the pyramid these different skills go. This is a general model of typical language development. Children do not need to achieve one skill in order to develop another. A child can be working on these skills all at the same time. However, this model shows the combination of skills that we develop as we learn to communicate, starting with attention and listening, then interaction and play, then understanding what others say, using words, and finally, clear speech. This is all achieved by finding motivating activities, creating reasons for communicating, and providing opportunities in everyday situations.
It is common that if your child is struggling to communicate, you may feel there is a barrier between you and your child. It may be that your child is trying to send you messages, however, they're difficult to read. Your child may struggle to understand your expectations of them also, creating frustrations that can lead to difficulties with managing behavior. All behavior is a form of communication. Let's have a look at this iceberg. Underneath the iceberg and underneath the waterline, there are different emotions and feelings or situations that can take place. For example, a child may be feeling angry, be in pain, be hungry, feel an emotion of fear, or maybe the environment is not suiting their needs. And above the waterline is what you see outwardly in your child. For example, behaviors including biting, hitting, screaming, maybe even covering their ears or withdrawing. Play is a really important part of your child's learning. It's a great opportunity to learn and use language. Children learn about the world through play. They can experiment and test out new ideas without feeling the pressure of being tested. It helps build your child's confidence and self-esteem. Play and language develop together. You could also be your child's favorite toy. Through good quality play, shared attention can be achieved. Shared attention is vital for language development. What is shared attention? Shared attention is when both the adult and child are both involved and interested in the same activity or object. They both know that the other person is interested too. It's vital for language learning. So how can we achieve shared attention? First, we can think about positioning. This is about being opposite your child, being at the child's eye level, and being close to your child. So why is this important? It's important because your child then has an easier opportunity to communicate with you. You can see what your child is doing and share your attention together, and they can initiate interactions with you a lot more readily. Another strategy is OWL and follow. OWL stands for observing, waiting, listening, and then following. So observing refers to sitting back and watching your child, what they're doing and how they're playing with things. Waiting involves you taking a step back, waiting and giving your child the time to communicate and to initiate if they want to. And listening involves listening out for any sounds or words that your child is using. Finally, we follow our child's lead and we copy their play as opposed to leading the play. We also copy their sounds and their actions. Using OWL and follow helps us follow our child's lead. Here are some ways we can follow a child's lead. We can copy our child's actions and sounds. When you hear them, try them for yourself. Reward hearing language or sounds by repeating them back. This will give your child the message that you're listening. Have a conversation using nonverbal gestures. You can communicate simply without words. Just showing you're looking at what they're doing and responding to it is a form of communication. You are saying without words that you are free to give them your attention. Respond to their play. Join in with play and see how your child responds. They may be waiting for you to join, or they may be wanting to play in their own way with you just watching. The important thing is that both of you are sharing attention on the same thing and that there is no pressure to do or say anything in particular. Just play. Another way to support your child's language development is by using language at the right level for your child. What we mean by this is we meet the child at the level of their language, so they have the best chance of copying us and learning about what words mean in the correct context. For instance, if you hold up an apple and you say apple, this is the correct context for the word. If you held up a shoe and said apple, this would not be the correct context to use the word. Let's use an example and think about language at the right level a bit further. Imagine you are abroad and you cannot speak the language of the country that you are visiting. You can probably say 1 to 2 words and that's about it. However, you really need support because you've lost your passport and you've approached a local speaking person for help. You can only say the word passport or help, and the person who's communicating with you is speaking to you in sentences in their native language. How does that feel? Are you able to communicate? Probably not. Another person approaches you and now uses 1 to 2 words to guide you to the police station. How does that feel? Is that more accessible? This is what we mean by using the language at the right level for your child so they can access the information that you are providing them. Here are 3 strategies that you can try. You can balance using all 3 or prioritize just one that seems to work best for your child. Adding a word. Adding a word is simply adding a word to what your child says. For example, your child says apple. You can add a word and say crunchy apple or red apple. Commenting. Commenting involves exposing your child to more language during play. So if your child is playing with something, instead of asking a question, you can comment on what is happening in front of you. You could say, you're driving the car, or you're washing the plate. Using a range of vocabulary. This involves exposing your child to a wider range of words during play. For example, instead of just naming what you see in front of your child, you could give them some descriptive language or some action words to develop their vocabulary further. An example of this would be red plate or shiny plate or hot plate or washing the plate. Let's talk a little bit further about the add a word strategy. Here is a table that will help guide how to add a word to your child's current language level. If your child is mostly using sounds and no real words yet, you may want to add a word or add more language by copying their sounds and then adding a single word. For example, a child might make a sound whilst holding a ball, and you could then say ball. If your child is mostly using single words, you could copy their single word and then add a word to make a two-word phrase. If they're mostly using two-word phrases, you could copy that phrase and add an extra word to make a three-word phrase. And finally, if a child's mostly using three-word phrases, you could then add a word to make a four-word phrase. Here are some examples on the right-hand side.
In the early stages of language development, adding a word is a useful strategy. However, children need to hear longer sentences too. You can provide simple language models by commenting on your child's play or what they're interested in. The key is to use more comments than questions. Questions help children practice words they already know, but comments help them learn new words. Don't be scared to use a wide range of words with your child. Here's an activity that we can do together. Pause the video and take a look at this picture. Think about the vocabulary or words that you could model to the children in this picture. When we look at this picture, we're very likely to think of nouns first. For example, plate, cup, water. But if we keep thinking, there are other types of words that we might come up with. We could use verbs such as washing, splashing, cleaning, or scrubbing. Verbs are important words for children to learn as they add detail in their sentences. If you think about it, it's really tricky to make a sentence work without verbs. You might also think about using describing words such as soapy, slippery, or bubbly. Starting from this week and before your therapy sessions begin, we would like you to set up special time. Special time is protected time for you to play with your child, have fun, and practice helpful strategies to support their communication. Try to set up special time each day. Research tells us that for special time to make a difference in your child's communication development, it needs to happen at least 3 times per week. Before you start special time, turn off the TV, radio, phones, or tablets. Tell your child that special time is starting and let your child choose what they want to play with. During special time, give your child your undivided attention and play for 5 to 10 minutes. Practice letting your child lead the play and practice owl and follow. What do you notice about your child's communication? Note them down and report back to your therapist what you notice about your child's communication during that time. Special time top tips. Remember, special time is different to other times spent playing with your child. It is protected time to work on your child's language development and develop joint attention. Also, try to reduce distractions and stick to the 5 to 10 minute mark. Little and often is best. Try doing special time at different times of the day. Plan when and where to do special time in advance. And always let the child choose what they want to play with and how they want to play with it. Consider videoing your special time sessions. The video should include you and your child. After the video, take a minute to watch it through again and think about these things. Who is leading the play? Are you following your child's lead? Are you sitting where they can easily see you? And are you using more comments and questions? As part of your therapy offer, your next session will be a one-to-one face-to-face session with the therapist, where video feedback will also be used. As mentioned at the beginning of this workshop, you have completed the first step of this journey, which is the space workshop. Next, a member of the team will contact you to arrange a block of therapy sessions with our speech and language therapist. As a service, we have the following expectations for all parents and carers. Attendance to all sessions, advance notice if you cannot make a session, daily special time with your child, bring one special time video for each of your one-to-one therapy appointments, and to seek further resources and learning from your local children's centre. If you require further information, please refer to some of these websites listed. Thank you for attending the SPACE workshop today. We look forward to seeing you and your child in our clinic.